අග්නික පාරමිතා බලේන විද්වංසියෝ කිල කිලේස සමෝහ ජාලං චේනේව ලද්ද අරහං අරහෝති නාමං වන්දාමි බුද්ධ මමලං හදයේටපෙත්වා නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස නමෝ තස්ස භගවතු අරහතෝ සම්මා සම්බුද්දස්ස. Homage to the exalted one, the worthy one, the supremely enlightened one. දිට්ඨිංච අනුපගම්ම සීලවා දස්සනේන සම්පන්නෝ කාමේසු විනය්‍යගේ ධම් නහි ජාතු ගම්බසෙයං පුනරේති. Venerable sirs, nuns, friends in Dhamma, today is our final day of the monastic retreat conducted by the Bhavana Society, West Virginia. Here we are talking about the last topic that we selected in this program. We hope to discuss one of the main discourses in Buddhism, which is 𝒮𝓾 Sutta or Metta Sutta, which comes in Sutta Nipada and 𝒮𝓾 ℒ𝒶𝓃. This discourse is very familiar with us. In our day-to-day life, we recite, we chant this discourse as usual for our day-to-day practice and blessings. As a chanting, we recite these discourses every day, and also we get some blessings, and also we think that by reciting and practicing this discourse, we can have many benefits. That is why we are familiar with this discourse. Here, the Supreme Buddha explained the importance of practicing this path. Especially, this discourse describes the path of liberation, and also especially it explains the path of Nibbana. At the beginning of the discourse, it explains දිට්ඨිංච අනුපගම්ම සීලවා දස්සනේන සම්පන්නෝ. Without going to extreme, if someone practices the Dhamma, he can enter the fearless path, the blissful path. According to the first stanza, Yantan Santam Padang Amisamecha, he who wishes to attain the peace of mind should practice these qualities. There are some qualities we can see in this discourse. All of them can be included into three categories: Sila, Samadhi and Panya. The first stanza explains the qualities, the ethics in Buddhism. In the middle path, it explains the benefits of practicing Metta Bhavana, the importance of practicing Metta Bhavana. In the third part, it explains the wisdom of Panya. When we discuss this discourse, actually this is used mainly as a blessing chanting, blessing discourse. Since in Buddha's time some monks were meditating in a forest, they faced some problems which came from some non-human beings. They are having some difficulties. Those monks came back to the Buddha wishing some advice. Their Buddha teach this discourse to the monks, and Buddha advised them to learn, chant and practice this discourse. From that time, for many 100 years, monks have been learning, chanting and practicing this discourse. In various ways we can get benefits from this discourse, especially as a blessing chanting, as a path, as a samatha meditation technique, and also we can use it to learn the Buddhist ethics. As human beings, we always spend an ethical life when we associate other people in our social life. They are having these skills is very important to succeed our social life. It helps us to develop our spiritual success too. Therefore, this discourse can be used in various ways for our benefits in our lives. Therefore, we can say actually this discourse is the Buddhist anthem, the main topic in Buddhism, we can see here. First of all, the Buddha explained here, Yankang Santam Padam Abhisamicca, he who wishes to attain the peace of mind should practice these qualities. What they are? The very first one is Sattva or proficiency. When we go forward on this path, especially spiritual path, we should be skillful. We should have skills about the path and about the wisdom. That is very important. And also the second one, Ujjuca, we should be honest. When we start our spiritual path, we should be honest in this path. That is also very important. Not only normal honesty, but we should be correctly and perfectly upright. Sujjuca. Buddha again explains the importance of having honesty on this spiritual path. And Sujjuca, gently spoken. When we listen to something, we should attentively listen to what they say. As our spiritual path, when we practice the Dhamma, firstly we should have good attention to know the path. Understanding the path is very important, since the Buddha explains, Janato aham 𝒮𝓃 ℒ𝒶𝓃 asavanam kayam vadami no ajanato no apassato. The Supreme Buddha says, I proclaim the liberation for those who know the path, who see the path. And also the worthy one says, Samma Ditti Pure Javan, right understanding is first. And also Buddha says, this vision is very important. Without knowing the path, we can't reach our spiritual goals. Therefore, we should have good attention. We should pay our attention to what we listening to. The third one, Mudu, gently. Our mind should be very gently. That is very important. And Anudimani, not conceited. Santustakocha, being contented or being satisfied. We should be satisfied with what already we have. And also Subara, easy to support. Appaticho, being less busy. Sallavakavuddhi, being simple. Santindriyo, controlling in senses. Nipaka, discretion. And Appagabbo, not impudence, not stubborn. And Pulesu Ananuviddo, less attachment to families. And finally, the Buddha says, Nachakuddhan samachare kinchi yena vinyo parayupadeyum. when we go on the path of liberation, we should not do any slight wrong conduct which is concerned by the wise. We should have moral life. Here it explains as 𝒮𝓃. That is also very important on this path. Having these qualities, gradually we can go forward on this path. And here we should have clear understanding about the path. The very last sense of the discourse is very important. 𝒮𝓃 ℒ𝒶𝓃 ℒ𝒃. Without going to extremes, we should have this virtuous life. What are the views? What are the wrong views? The Buddha explains that if a person sees the arising of five aggregates, he doesn't go to the extreme of nihilism or 𝒮𝓃. And also, if a person sees the cessation of five aggregates, he doesn't go to the extreme of eternalism or 𝑠𝑎𝑠𝑎𝑑𝑐. These both wrong views should be overcome by one vision, which is paṭisamuppada, or the dependent origination, or the causality, what the Blessed One explained. Having the understanding of the causality or the dependent origination, we have to practice 𝒮𝓃, virtue, discipline in our speech and behavior. In this discourse, we can see 14 skills, 14 qualities in our virtuous life. Among them, we can think there are 3 things which are very important. They are honesty, or 𝒁𝐻𝐻 or 𝐂𝐻𝐻. 𝒁𝐻 means active listening or being gently spoken, and 𝒃𝓾, discretion or wisdom. These 3 qualities are very important on this path. Being honest, being gently spoken, and also discretion or wisdom. Having these qualities, when we go forward, we find the middle of the liberation, which is samatha or concentration. Here the Buddha explains the importance of practicing loving kindness thoughts, Metta Bhavana. There it says, in various places, various stages, means focusing, we have to practice Metta Bhavana. Weak, strong, without exception, long, medium, big, short, small, large, visible, invisible, near, far, who was born, who were not born. Focusing on this, all the beings, we should contemplate on that. May all beings be well, happy and peaceful. Again and again, we contemplate on metta thoughts for our inner peace. This discourse starts with very special stanza, which is Yantam Santam Padam Amisamicca. He who wishes to attain of peace. Santa means in Buddhism directly leads to Nibbana. He who wishes to attain the Nibbana should practice these qualities. And here, when we practice Metta Bhavana, contemplating on thus, may all beings be well, happy and peaceful. Again and again we think about it. We spread loving kindness thoughts to everyone, those who are in this world. As the result of practicing this path, we can be happy about our spiritual life, since we gradually reduce anger. Anger is one of the causes that disturbs our peace of mind. Buddha says, for our spiritual life, for our inner peace, from the beginning to end, we have to practice loving kindness thoughts, Metta Bhavana, again and again. all the beings who are here, who are in this city, who are in this country, who are in this planet, who are in this solar system, who are in this galaxy, who are in this world, so on, focusing on all the beings who are in this world. Again and again, we have to spread loving kindness thoughts, thinking on thus, may all beings be well, happy and peaceful. Those monks who were meditating in the jungle and forest, they came to the Buddha without doing this activity, meditation technique. That is why the Buddha advised that monks to practice Metta Bhavana. While having this discourse from the Buddha, when they went back to the forest, while they are practicing Dhamma, they chanted this discourse and also they specially practiced Metta Bhavana. May all beings be well, happy and peaceful. May all beings be well, happy and peaceful. As a result of practicing and chanting this discourse, that monks could succeed their spiritual life. Not only that, the non-human beings who disturbed those monks at first, they later helped those monks and also they are blessed by the monks. Helping monks, they acquired positive thoughts in their minds. Here, we should understand very clearly that this discourse explains the three trainings in Buddhism: Sila, virtue, Samadhi, concentration or Metta Bhavana, and Panya, wisdom. Where does wisdom explained in this discourse? The last stanza. 𝒮𝓃 ℒ𝒶𝓃 ℒ𝒶 sampanno, he who comes to the vision without going to extremes, attain the Nibbana in this life itself. If not, they will be reborn in the Anagami level as a person who is non-returning in the Brahma realms. They are practicing other qualities, they could attain enlightenment. This is the Buddhist path. When we listening to and chanting this discourse, our knowledge gradually increases. Not only that, especially when we spend a social life having these qualities, it's very important, since everyone likes to be famous in this society, in this world. If a person has these qualities, actually he can win a lot of friends and also he can live happily with many people in this society. Not only that, Metta Bhavana is highly appreciated in Buddhism as a meritorious act. Among the three meritorious deeds, generosity, virtue and meditation, Metta Bhavana is very, very important. According to Metta ℒ𝒾 Sutta, the Buddha says, as a person, the highest meritorious act that we can practice in the mundane level is Metta Bhavana. Therefore, practicing Metta Bhavana helps us to overcome our some negative previous karmic actions, karmic results, and also that meditation practice, Metta Bhavana, will help us to cultivate our positive thoughts. Then we can get some benefits in this world. 𝐂𝐢𝐩𝐢𝐻 ℒ𝒶𝓃. 𝐂𝐢 means longevity, ℍ good complexion, ℒ𝒶 happiness, and ℏ is strength. In order to receive these strengths, in order to receive these results, practicing Metta Bhavana is very, very important. That is why we always practice Metta Bhavana in Buddhist practice. On the other side, in our social life, we mostly suffer because of anger. When we associate some people, when we do some activities in our working life, if other persons and institutes have some problems and mistakes, we suddenly get upset. We get angry. Then our mind is not beautiful. Even though our physical body is very beautiful, even though our clothes and our other things are very beautiful, if our mind is angry, our mind is not beautiful. It means we have to face some problems in our daily life. That is why the Buddha says, whenever our mind is impure, if we do something with the impure mind, suffering follows us because of impure mind. Therefore, we have to keep our mind pure and calm. This says, Manasache pasanena bhastiva karotiva tatonang sukhamanveti shayavanakayani. If someone does something with the pure mind, physically, verbally or mentally, happiness follows him because of pure mind. In this situation, for the happiness of our life, we have to make a very peaceful and pure mind. That our pure mind brings us happiness and it gives us the beauty of our lives. Therefore, practicing Metta Bhavana is very, very important. That is why the Blessed One has advised us to practice Metta Bhavana as much as we can. On the other side, we can use this Metta Bhavana as a samatha meditation technique. When we practice Metta Bhavana, it helps us to overcome negative thoughts, hindrances, pancha nivarana, 5 hindrances from our minds. The more we purify our mind, the more we cultivate our inner peace, cultivating the factors of jhana, such as 𝒮𝓾 ℒ𝒶𝓃 ℒ𝒶𝓃𝓾. Among them, piti is one of them. Piti means rapture. Rapture definitely helps us to cultivate our inner peace. In this situation, practicing this path brings us happiness, and finally, it helps us to attain Nibbana. And finally, when we consider the last stanza, 𝒮𝓃 ℒ𝒶𝓃 ℒ𝒂 sampanno, there the wisdom is explained. It means we reflect on impermanence. When causes are together, the results arise. When causes cease at the moment, the results also cease at the moment. Then finally we realize that our entire life is the mentality and corporeality, or mind and matter. In other way, 5 aggregates, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, Vijnana, forms, feelings, perception, mental formations and consciousness. These are the 5 aggregates with that we always deal. If we can understand the nature of these 5 aggregates, we should reflect on them as impermanence, anicca, and also we contemplate on them as dukkha, dissatisfactory or unsatisfied, and finally we understand the Buddha's message very clearly. We can cultivate our mind. We can gradually reflect on impermanence of these 5 things again and again. We can overcome the attachment to the 5 aggregates, and also finally we can liberate from suffering as a result of seeing the reality of our entire life. We release from the material world, reflecting on impermanence, and finally we release from even our mind and mental formations too. This is the path that the Blessed One explained for our inner peace. Therefore, friends in Dhamma, Venerable says, let's try to practice our path, Sila, Samadhi and Panya, based on this 𝒃 Sutta, the Metta Sutta, which comes in Sutta Nipada and 𝒮𝓃 ℒ𝒶𝓃. Metta Sutta is very, very important as a meditation technique, as a blessing chanting, as a technique for our inner peace, and as the path of the liberation. Therefore, we can name this discourse as the Buddhist anthem. With our pure mind, with good understanding, if we practice Thero virtue, we can spend a very virtuous social life, having respect and honor of the people. And also when we practice Samatha Bhavana, especially based on Metta Bhavana, we can cultivate our inner peace, happiness, reducing five hindrances. And finally, when we reflect on impermanence, based on the three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta, we can see the nature of our life, and gradually we can release from the material world based on four fundamental elements, earth element, water element, fire element and air element. At the same time, we can reflect on our mentality of four aggregates, feelings, perception, consciousness and mental formations. Everything is impermanent. Everything arises at the moment, they immediately cease. This is the reality that we should realize by listening, practicing, and achieving this valuable, sublime message uttered by the Buddha. For that, I wish you all the best. By the power of listening to this message, 𝒃 Sutta, may you be well, happy and peaceful. May all your spiritual and educational goals meet with success. Finally, all of us attain the supreme bliss of liberation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Venerable sirs, friends, today we have come to the conclusion of our monastic retreat 2025, conducted by the Bhavana Society, West Virginia. Here we should really appreciate Bhante Ji, who has been conducting and teaching us for several decades, especially for monastics, monks and nuns. Because of Bhante's great service, we receive the results of the Dhamma. At the same time, Bhante Saddhajīva and other monks also help this monastic retreat. We should really appreciate their service by the power of the spirituality that we accrue through all these activities. May they be free from suffering and may they attain the supreme bliss of liberation. And also by the power of these spiritual activities, may all your educational and spiritual goals meet with success. Finally, all of us attain the supreme bliss of liberation. And also, we should invite all of you that please listen to these sermons again and again. All the sermons are recorded. Later, we will upload everything in YouTube. You can listen to them again and again, improving your Dhamma knowledge. Practicing the Dhamma, you can get more benefits from these sermons. And for that, I wish you all the best. By the power of this spirituality, may all of us attain the supreme bliss of liberation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Dukkham pantā ca nirdukkha, bhayam pantā ca nirbhaya, sokam pantā ca nisoka, hontu sabbe pipanino. May all beings be well, happy and peaceful. May they attain the supreme bliss of liberation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.